Now gameplay. The Final Fantasy series never had a problem with control. There's only two buttons, accept and cancel. And the start button will open the menu. Select will change the order of your fighters. There's no front and back row yet. And if you press select and B, you can see the world map, which is surprisingly unhelpful. Seriously though, this map is worthless. It looks like it works, but this thing doesn't help you at all. Just like everything else in this game. You can't even zoom in, and this sort of thing is going to drive you crazy the whole time. At no point is there any clue that you're supposed to do anything. That you're supposed to go to a town and do something. But the game stands still until you do. Without a guide, the end result is that you'll spend hours in that airship, wandering, desperate to find a town, hoping it's the right one. And because everything looks the same, you'll never remember which town is which, so you get lost. And as you get lost walking around, the enemies gang up on you and destroy your party. If you end up going to a place where you aren't supposed to be yet, you can get instantly annihilated, even when you have the damn guide or a map. It turns out that you find the town, but of course you can't land next to it. No, you have to land 50 miles out of the way, and walk all the way through a forest to speak to one guy, then go back through the forest, desperately trying to survive the constant enemy barrage, just so you can get back to the airship and do the same damn thing over and over again. People complain about how linear some of the later Final Fantasies are, like Final Fantasy X or 7, where the towns are in a straight line ahead of you. But believe me, you don't know what the hell you're complaining about until you've played this game. Again, the remastered version fixes this a little. The NPCs do tell you something, but I'm dealing with the original here. Final Fantasy 1 is a game where you have to be glued to the strategy guide. You must have that crappy JPEG world map on your computer screen at all times. And let me tell you something, after 20 years, and with most people playing this game through emulators, no one is going to have the manual, the world map, or the Nintendo Power Guide. That's a pet peeve I have, especially with games like Zelda. Look at the manual for details. You couldn't put some lines of explanatory text in the game, or a tutorial, or give one NPC one line of dialogue to tell me what the hell I'm supposed to be doing? How long would that take? No, of course not. I'm sorry about that. Guess I'm complaining for nothing. Final Fantasy eventually did fix these problems, but as we'll see, it took them forever. Well, almost. Anyway, the menu is what you'd expect from a Final Fantasy game, but it has its own song, which gets very annoying after a while. You never have to pause because these are turn-based battles after all, the most realistic kind. When the enemy hits you, I can fall asleep for a few hours, wake up, and the enemy is still waiting because I haven't picked an option yet. It's stupid, but there are many times when I miss that in games. Buying things is cumbersome too. You have to buy every item one at a time, no matter what it is. You can give items immediately to people, and while that might sound good, it's just tedious. However, the first thing you'll notice in the game is that the dialogue boxes have the most annoying sound effect ever. Worse, every time you press A, even by accident, a dialogue box will show up no matter what you're doing, and your guy will say, "Nothing here." I can't tell you how annoying this gets. The customization is almost up to par in this game. What do I mean by customization? Basically, I mean how much can one of my characters do. Final Fantasy characters can fight via three basic types. Type 1, the lockdown force roll system, where one guy can use magic, one guy is a warrior, and that will never change, and never the twain shall meet. Final Fantasy IX is an example of this, and it does abysmally in this category. I like flexibility, for my characters to be able to do anything at any time, or at least that all of my characters are at least as good offensively as they are defensively. So when I'm totally screwed, and only one guy is left standing, I still have a chance. Type 2, the I can do anything system, where characters are essentially blank slates, and with the right manipulation, you can do anything with anybody. I like this the best, though if it's done wrong, battles can get a little boring. Good examples of this are Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 10. 10 added a twist which I liked a lot. The game starts out as a lockdown force roll system, and later becomes the I can do anything system. And Type 3, the job system, which for me is a mixed bag. When it's done right, like in Final Fantasy V and Final Fantasy Tactics, I love it. This version adds challenge to the game, and it's sort of a mix of the first two. Your characters are locked down to a role, but you can change the roles in mid-game. And the jobs, with enough work, can mix and combine so that it's almost like the second type. The first Final Fantasy has job system, and it sucks. You can have 4 characters, and there are 6 jobs, but there are really only 2. A guy who beats people up, and a guy who uses magic. You pick the job, and that's it. You can't change it ever. You have the warrior, the monk, the thief, the white mage, the black mage, and the red mage. Of course, the translators think that Americans are too stupid to get the references, so instead of warrior and monk, they're called fighter and black monk. But you know what? There's a reason why everyone uses the same party in this game. You see, the warrior and the monk use physical attacks. The warrior must have armor, and the monk shouldn't. The monk is stronger. His fists are apparently sharper than steel. But he'll die every time without defense. So you'll most likely have 2 warriors, but if you're daring, you'll have a warrior and a monk, or maybe even 2 monks. The thief sucks. He's absolutely fucking worthless. Quick, you only have a few seconds to answer this question. What does the thief do? Steal, right? Okay, so what does the thief do, in the first Final Fantasy game. Jack shit! Right! The thief can't steal. Unfucking believable. Well, can he do anything else? Can he pick locks? Can he find hidden treasure? Can he find secret passages? Can he move stealthily along dangerous territory? Can he infiltrate secret I didn't even finish that one. Can he rob from the rich and give to the poor? Can he wear green? Oh, great! The first time I played this game, I didn't know any better, and I picked the thief. And what a mistake that was. The thief is slightly faster, but he's as weak as the plot to this game. The only reason to pick the thief is that later in the game, he can be transformed into a ninja, who can use every weapon and a lot of black magic. But since the rest of your party can already do that, why have a weaker version in there? You also can't run without him. What a wonderful thing. You walk so slowly through every dungeon, letting the enemies constantly kill you. And even in the towns it's annoying, because the NPCs constantly get in the way, and you always gotta stand there shoving them until they actually move. The magic guys are straightforward. They can't really do physical stuff to save their lives, but the white mage does curative and protective magic, and the black mage does cool stuff like burn people alive and nuke them with Ultima. The red mage is like cramming the black mage, the white mage, and the warrior together. Therefore, he kicks ass. He can't do all the spells the other mages can do, but in this game, you'll never really need those spells, and casting them isn't that cool because the graphics are terrible. You take any other Final Fantasy game, and a spell like Fire 3 or Fire Augur will do several thousand damage. In this game, it does around 70. So your party is usually 2 warriors and monks and 2 mages, usually a black and a white mage. Or you might even have 1 warrior and a red, white, and a black mage. But that's it. Not much customization is involved. 1 black mage is really no different from any other, and all the warriors do the same stuff. Your weapons include swords, daggers, nunchucks, staves, hammers, axes, and katanas. But there's no real difference between them. Apparently the programmers forgot to include that, along with your status effect spells. I mean, the elementals are supposed to be there, but they don't work. And it's one of those games with a lot of armor to buy. You know, helmets, body armor, gloves, shields, and accessories. Plus you can only give these guys 4-letter names. There's no real reason for this, so I'm not even gonna try. I'm just gonna put A, E, O, and U. Oh yeah, your jobs can upgrade if you get the rat's tail for Bahamut. What a dragon wants with a rat's tail, I'll never know. But the upgrades are nothing to speak of. They're just a little stronger. You got the knight, the master, the ninja, and the black, white, and red wizard. And besides looking a little bigger and a little better, there's absolutely no difference. There are 8 levels of magic with 4 spells per level. The higher the level, the stronger it is. But in this game, you have to buy the individual spells. And you can only have 3 for each level. In the English translation, they couldn't fit the magic spell names into more than 4 characters, so the names look like shit. And just in case you want to know, there's no Ultima, but there's Holy. But they call it Fade. Pathetic. Holy is 4 letters, damn it. What's that whole censorship bullshit? And they also have Flare, but they call it Nuke. There's also a 4th cure spell, Curaja, or Cure 4, but it's just full cure. There's also no MP, only a set number of times you can use each level of magic. By the way, look how long it takes to hit 9 enemies at the same time with magic. Yeah. Lastly, we have the difficulty curve. The game should start easy, but not too easy, and then get hard. Duh. The best difficulty curve, in my opinion, was in Final Fantasy VIII, where the enemies were always based on your level, and they leveled up with you, and you got enough experience based on that. Some of the worst was in X2, and this game. Final Fantasy starts as one of the hardest games you will ever play, for 2 reasons. The first I think everyone knows, the stupidest flaw in any RPG ever. If you don't want to deal with this, you can play one of the remastered versions and change an option in the menu. But that would mean you're a wimp. Now maybe, if you've never played an RPG in your life, this flaw might not affect you that much. But let's face it though, if you're playing this game, you've played other Final Fantasies before. Apparently, your characters are so stupid, they can't understand that if one of the enemies died, you should hit the ones that are still there, and not the ones that are dead. And if you select the target, and the target dies, the character won't attack another enemy. Nah, he'll just hit the air, and it'll say ineffective. You end up wasting a turn, and giving the enemy a free hit. And you can end up giving the enemy up to 9 free hits, and that's not going to help you out too much. The control is a little stiff here too. You can only select enemies with up or down, not left or right. The line there also ensures that you can't select yourself. But it's not really a problem, it just pisses you off. Constantly. There's an advantage to this flaw though. If you played this game, you get a lot better at all the other Final Fantasy games, because you learn not to waste any character actions.